In today's video, I'm going to be going over frequently asked questions by parents as it pertains to the Alonzo Baseball League. So, without further ado, let's get started. Question number 1. Can players hit and pitch at the same time in the same game? So, to answer this question, in order for us to have the game format to ensure that hitters are able to get 12 at-bats in a single game, we wouldn't be able to have a player be able to hit and pitch simultaneously. If a hitter, or a player I should say, wants to do both, then they would essentially have to, in a way, take up 2 roster spots. So for example, if they were a player that does both hits and pitches, they would enroll as one player as a hitter and then enroll as another spot as a pitcher. So whichever game that they're playing in, they're either going to be hitting that game only or pitching that game only as well. So that is the only way that they would be able to, or we would be able to keep the game format to work in terms of keeping it under 2 hours, and as well as enabling the pitchers and the hitters to get the exact amount of reps that we're allowing them to get, in terms of, again, with the hitters getting 12 at-bats and pitchers staying within a certain pitch limit between each game. All right, question number 2. Are players grouped by competition level or age level? So first and foremost, players will be grouped by, I guess you could say, kind of both. However, let's just say, for instance, I'll just use the middle school division as an example. Let's just say, for instance, there's a 13-year-old who is completely capable of competing with the 14-year-old age group for the middle school division. If they're completely capable of playing and competing with them, I have no issues with getting the 13-year-old to play with the 14-year-olds, right? And vice versa. Let's just say we have a freshman at the high school level who is perfectly capable of competing with the varsity level age group kids. We have no issue with getting that player to compete with the varsity level as well. So again, ultimately we do group them by their competition level, but age level as well. To also ensure safety precautions, because we wouldn't also, let's just say, like, there's a middle schooler that is able to compete with, I don't know, high schoolers or whatever it is. From a safety perspective, we might also limit that type of grouping if they're that much off in age level. But overall, we try to keep them as close to their age level and competition level as much as possible. So. All right, question number 3. How will the league help in recruitment from a high schooler wanting to play at the college level? So I'm going to make a separate video to further discuss this, but I'm going to answer this really simply right now. So basically, specifically, with the type of stats that we're taking which really at all levels, but specifically for high schoolers that are wanting to play at the college level, these types of stats that we're taking for both pitchers and hitters are extremely valuable as it pertains to evaluating players. There was actually a video that came out earlier that I saw recently from the Clemson University head baseball coach that was basically explaining what they are basically looking for in hitters when it comes to their recruiting process. And again, I'm going to make a whole separate video on this and show it to you guys so he can explain what exactly that they're looking for. And then I'm going to explain how the stats that we're taking relate to what he and other college coaches are looking for, and how they help at the how they help in the recruiting process. Okay, so again, just to keep it really, really frank and really simple, I'll just use a pitcher as an example, a high school pitcher, okay? So obviously, when it comes to high school pitchers getting to the college level, they obviously need to be pitching at a certain pitching velocity, right? And not only do they need to be pitching at a certain pitching velocity, but they also need to maintain and also limit the way or the amount of, I guess, the way that the hitters are hitting off of them in terms of limiting runs, having a decent amount of strikeouts, limiting their walks, and things of this nature, right? Now, granted, there can be some things that some college recruiters can see within a pitcher's profile. For instance, if they're looking at their TrackMan data when it comes to like maybe their spin rate, or maybe it comes to like things in terms of what we're tracking, like their whiff percentage or their weak contact rate, right? Because it could possibly be where a pitcher might not have the highest pitching velocity, but if they're really good with their stuff and their movement profile and they're maybe allowing a lot of weak contact, that can be used as a staple for the player to send to recruiters, or maybe recruiters just to see within the player, so they can help them in the recruitment process. Because that's not something that I just made up. Those are the types of stats that the MLB is actually using as it pertains to evaluating the players that they have, and as it pertains to giving out certain amount of money for contracts in terms of what players are worth for their team as well. So in short, though, it's the specific stats that we're going to be taking that is going to help each player in their recruitment process and in their process of understanding how they can also get better as well. Okay, and also to piggyback off that, we're also going to be filming and videoing each player during their at-bat. So when the pitchers are pitching against hitters, when the hitters are hitting off the pitchers, and providing game film for the hitters and the pitchers to have, and also to be able to use in posting in social media, because social media is a huge avenue for players in the recruiting world today. And so obviously if a player has really, really good stats, really good numbers, and the video to back it up, it makes it way easier for recruiters to see the video, to see the stats with it, and it makes it easier for them to keep tabs on the players that are playing in the Alonzo League as well, as it pertains to that. All right, next question. How does the game format work? So the game format is really, really simple. We simply just have 4 hitters and 4 pitchers. Okay, the hitters are only focused on hitting, and the pitchers are only focused on pitching. There's 2 pitchers that are going to essentially be throwing at a time, just like in a typical game. One pitcher is going to be throwing to all 4 batters, and then after he's done throwing to the 4 batters, the next pitcher, it will be his turn to throw to the same 4 batters, while the other pitcher is resting. And you can almost look at it as if it's like their inning of work. Okay, and so the pitchers are throwing 3 to 4 sets of all those to all the 4 batters, which will enable all the batters to basically get 12 at bats in a single game. Okay, and with that, the game will last no more than 2 hours. Hitters will get quality at bats. Pitchers will make sure that within their work, they're also not overthrowing. Typically, pitchers won't throw more than 60 pitches in a single game. Okay, and with that being said, when we are playing outside on a field, we keep the same format, but we allow other players that are enrolled into the league, if they play a certain position, they can show up to one of the other games and they can play their position for the entire game to get fielding reps as well. So obviously that's how it would work on the outdoor game end. And when we're playing indoors, we would keep the same exact format as it pertains to the hitters and the pitchers, but obviously there wouldn't be any room for fielding. So the format always stays the same, except on the outdoor level when we're able to offer fielding for those players that want to get their defensive work in as well.